All right, so we have a lot to talk about. I apologize, I'm not in center of the frame. You're just gonna have to live with it. I tried to record this without the headsets and came out horribly. So this is my second and hopefully more successful chance of taking a stab at this. So you may have noticed I haven't posted my usual content in a very long time. There's a lot of reasons for that, and it's not something I'm particularly willing to share beyond just 1,000-foot view, so to speak. There's been some things happening in the background that preclude me from being able to enjoy the kind of things that I've historically accustomed to. So I do have some health issues that continue to stem from my car accident almost 10 years ago. The second thing is, the obvious permission to be able to go and do all these things. And eventually you get to the point in the process where you've exhausted all of the low-hanging fruit, that's close to home, so that in case you want to travel to lands far, far away, you need certain things. And our society isn't really structured for the purpose of life enjoyment. This isn't Europe, where people get like 6 weeks on day one. That's all I'm willing to share on that. I am about to do something absolutely ridiculous. Something that's been in the plan, in the cards for almost 5 years now. And if you followed me on my series to Utah and Colorado, you would know that when all of that was taking place, I was sharing the good and the bad. And this time I'm also going to share just about everything. So the thing to share is that I am going to be taking my motorhome and my Jeep, in which I'm sitting in right now, and basically leaving it out west, which means that I will be purchasing another vehicle. I've been talking about it in my other Jeep vlogs for quite some time, but I think the decision has to be made. Ultimately, one of the biggest reasons why I can't go and do the things that I need to go and do is because it takes quite a bit of time to go from here to over there and back. So all these things, I don't know, what is this with drivers today, acting all crazy. By leaving my stuff over there, it's going to open up a whole frontier of opportunities, which basically means that going forward I'm going to be flying there. It also means that I'm going to have to purchase another vehicle here. This is like a last second type thing, decision. It has been an option on the table for reasons unbeknownst to me. I have not acted up on it, and then I've kept consulting people that whose decision and judgment I value and trust, and they were like, you know what, now is the right time to do this, and so here we are. The more logical thing to have done would be to purchase another vehicle right now, so I could already have it. But then the thought of it just sitting in my driveway for like a whole month, it doesn't quite. In any event, what's going to happen is I'm going to leave the Jeep and the motorhome in Grand Junction, Colorado in storage, and basically fly on the plane and deal with things as they come. The overall plan of attack Very unfortunately, I have to report that for the second time now, I am about to embark on a journey to go out west, facing significant headwind. The weather just isn't, like, I don't understand, like, why can't I catch a break? So the last time I've gone, unbeknownst to me, I ended up in the middle of derecho or 7, all the way from Florida to basically border of Texas and New Mexico. It was like a wave after a wave after a wave after a wave. The winds were absolutely horrible. The storm, the hail, if you've ever driven something as big as a motorhome or a semi or anything, like, it just turns into a massive sail. And that's not a situation where you want to find yourself. It's like there's just nothing that could even come close, because you're being thrown all over the the road, and because you have to drive such long distance, it puts in this additional significant stress on your person, both mentally and physically, as you're trying to hold on to the wheel and hopefully not tip over. So this time there's a very significant weather event that's happening in Texas and New Mexico as we speak, with winds reaching 93 miles an hour in some places. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. So the way it's looking is I'm going to be taking the southmost route, basically trying to avoid the weather. As it's unfolding right now, I'm going to be taking I-10 all the way from Florida all the way to San Antonio, Texas, and then to El Paso, and then basically kind of taking the northern route of sorts to get to where I need to get. I'm going to be crossing through Arizona, I believe, driving on 191 all the way to Mexican Hat. In Mexican Hat, I am going to be doing Hanukkah Trail at the Gooseneck State Park. If you remember my previous trip, I unfortunately broke my leg like literally right before the trip, so I couldn't hike, and that was absolutely devastating. Same thing with Needles District, which is going to be on the menu. I'm going to be doing some hiking there. So I am going from Mexican Hat to Moab, meeting my mom over there. Then we're going all the way to Escalante, doing some slot canyons in there, doing a hike in Capitol Reef National Park, doing some hiking in the Wedge, doing some hiking in Goblin Valley State Park, coming back to Moab, doing hikes in Needles and also in Moab itself. So what I'm trying to do on this trip is a couple of things, provide myself and my mom an opportunity to kind of get things out of our system. I'm gonna be doing the whole visit out west shtick for a long time. I don't think she will, unless something changes. I know she might join me on a couple of trips here and there, but we live on different parts of the continent as it is. So after all of that said and done, I'm gonna be dropping my motorhome and my Jeep in storage and catching a plane and flying all the way back to Florida. There's a lot of adversity to deal with these things. I've mentioned that on previous trip I've broken my leg right before. I've been nursing injuries probably for the last couple of years. As you know, after my car accident, like, my entire spine is completely messed up. So that's a huge hindrance between the herniated discs and pinched nerves and bulging discs up and down the spine. It got to the point where it's like a roller coaster, you know. It's either really horribly bad, or it's decently bad, or there's times when it's actually, I feel like a human being again. And then something happens that I cannot control to throw a wrench in there in the process, and it all goes down the hill from there. So I've been dealing with that. Now, as you might imagine, in trying to pack and prepare for this trip, there's a lot of movement happening, like traveling to and from the motorhome and packing and unpacking and shimmying things to and from the Jeep and the motorhome. And so I'm constantly re-aggravating every single one of my pain points, unfortunately. I'm quite frequently these days in a fetal position. Not something I'm proud to say, but hey, this is real life, and you just have to share the good and the bad. One of the things that is totally weird about my body is that it responds completely different to the same exact kind of things. So sometimes it's responding positively to the cold, other times not so much. Sometimes it's responding positively to the heat, other times not so much. And so I've been dealing with that. And one of the recent developments, I actually got myself a neck brace to sleep in, because apparently in my sleep I do something to contort my neck, which discombobulates my entire existence, whatever. So the very unfortunate part about this trip is that you'd be shocked to see how little space there is between the Jeep and the motorhome in terms of being able to just store things. I have to logically think about the future trips and my inability to be able to order something and just being able to put it inside something. So I have to think about the future possibilities, however minimal they are. So there's that going on, and it's also playing like a game of Tetris, really. Packing, repacking, unpacking, moving things to and from. You have to stush, all that stuff into every kind of cubby, but you don't need it until a particular time and place in the future. So there's also that. Given the fact that this is like a last minute type decision to leave the motorhome and the Jeep over there, it created somewhat of an issue. I spent a lot of time developing a plan, or multiple plans rather, in how I was going to proceed with the trip. Unfortunately, all of them are useless, so I had to scramble and redo things, and just from a logistical standpoint. But I'm about as prepared as I humanly can. As I'm about to venture out west, I'm obviously going to be vlogging. All the video recordings are going to be offloaded to a hard drive. There's no point in spending any of my time, just like last time, editing anything while I'm, in the element. I would rather just be at one with the universe and then deal with creation of videos after the fact. The original plan, be as it may, was to drive over there, which is about 2,300 miles, and then come back, which is another 2,300 miles, plus all the mileage there, and then travel back in July sometime to basically leave my motorhome in storage, which would have been another 2,500 miles. So that's a lot of mileage, and this is the reason why I'm kind of like doing a flip-a-marooney, giving myself more options to go and do things in the future. As for the purchase of another vehicle, what is going to happen is as soon as I get off the plane, I'm basically going straight to this dealership and dealing with all of that. It's going to be another Jeep Gladiator that from the looks of it I'm gonna own presumably for the next few years. This is nerve-wracking. This is one hell of a life alteration, but I've been preparing for it unknowingly, and now it's all sort of converging into reality. So I've invested quite a bit of my time into creating this thing called modularity. Basically what that is it gives me options to have more than one way of going camping. So for example, my rooftop tent, now I could actually go and park my RV in one place and access certain places and spaces where otherwise I couldn't because, obviously the motorhome. So a prime example of it would be the White Rim Trail. Not that I plan on doing it again, but that's just an example. It could be Lockhart Basin or something like that. Not that I particularly plan to do it, but it's a possibility. Places in Colorado, among other stuff like that. I'm also taking kayaks with me. So the whole kayak situation is, like for example, last time I took them with me to go and kayak the Marble Canyon. I never ended up getting to Marble Canyon. That's in Page, Arizona area. Instead, I kayaked in Ridgway, Colorado. And I was very thankful for all the aggravation and all the deficit of space that I could just have a kayak, right? So there's a lot of this planning and whatever ism trying to get me to just envision what the next few years are going to look like. I see myself basically going back over there and visiting as much as I can. I don't know if I'll keep my Jeep and RV in Grand Junction, Colorado indefinitely. Certainly in the near future. I have to factor in the winters. I don't feel particularly comfortable leaving my stuff over there where temperatures are like in the negatives, if you know what I mean. I don't want to have to winterize anything. Anyways, so what is going to happen in terms of like trips? This trip I've already talked about. My next one, because of this whole reshufflement, my next one is going to be amended and adjusted. Originally I was going to go back to Utah before dropping it off in July. Since that is going to change, I'm gonna have to see what the weather is like and basically come up with two plans. or maybe even 3, pending whether, if it's not hot as hell, I'd like to just start hammering out Utah. If it is hot as hell, I might have to start thinking about other places like Colorado and Wyoming and, among other locations. I'm also doing my best to stay in the best shape that I can. I've been on a fitness binge for quite some time. I've shed quite a bit of weight. Basically, I had a health incident in August of 23 where, very unfortunately, I woke up with basically temporary paralysis. I couldn't move at all. And then once I was able to move again, I was in such level pain that I spent probably the next, I'm gonna say like almost 6 months of my life just managing severe level pain. When the clock turned on 2024, I was like, okay, I need to do something about it. So at that time, I weighed 187 pounds, which is completely unacceptable for me. And I have lowered it to 163 now, is how much I weigh. I figure with all the hiking I'm fixing to do, I'm probably going to lose a little bit more weight. But one of my biggest constraints to be able to do anything fitness-wise is the fact that I have my issues. But I do what I can. My goal on this trip is to basically eat well, rest well, not do anything stupid, and that includes both myself and my mom, because our desire is to be able to enjoy and not get hurt in the process. Going forward though, I'm gonna start planning some really interesting looking trips. What I would like is to be able to somehow like weave in hikes and overlanding trips, because I'm really neither. Like, I'm not an off-roader per se, I'm not an overlander per se, and I'm not a hiker per se. But I have all these tendencies of being able to dabble in all these things that I want to be able to have a very fulfilling kind of trip. So every single trip going forward is going to be filled with diversity of experiences. That could include doing all of those things, basically. My goal is to eventually reach a point where I have exhausted the area. I don't think that's even possible, but so that I could then move my motorhome and my Jeep to a different place and exhaust it over there. The overall kind of long-term solution is to do like the Great 5, as they call it. There's a loop of the 5 national parks in Utah. And it's like a circular road kind of thing. My goal is to kind of generally loosely follow that and visit all the cool places. But then, of course, you also have to be cognizant of distances. So if my motorhome is in Grand Junction, am I really willing to be driving to the Grand Canyon kind of deal? You have to optimize your pursuit. So that's the reason why I've mentioned the possibility of moving my motorhome from Grand Junction, Colorado to something like, I don't know, Page, Arizona or something, down the road. I do expect for all of this to figure itself out. Like now I just need to rip off the band-aid and just kind of dive into this. This teething process in between is probably the most terrifying thing. I hope it will all self-figure out. Some mistakes were made along the way, but I hope that I'm about to start something really incredible. So I guess where I'm getting with this is that the content on my channel is going to return. The type of content is going to be mind-boggling. I am taking basically all of my cameras, with the exception of my DSLR, over there, and I have a whole bunch of cameras. 4K camcorders. I have like bazillion drones that I'm taking with me. I'm taking my GoPros, and I have a whole slew of those. 360 cameras, the tiny like Insta360 Go 3S type things, the real microscopic ones. All of this is for being able to capture the moment while I'm out there, using whatever best equipment that I can. So my goal is to, upload everything to the hard drive and basically travel with the hard drive back. That's kind of what the goal is. I'm equipped with, recovery tools and means. I'm equipped with emergency beacon, subscription plan, the internet, obviously, the whole caboose. And I feel it's going to be probably easier this time to navigate this space because I've already spent 3 months out in the wilderness over there, being a little bit less equipped than I am right now. Now I'm a little bit wiser and more mature in that sense. And another thing, I also want to be able to have completely different type vacations. So what I mean by that is I'm not going to be going to Utah every single time. I don't want the deserty type experience every single time. But that doesn't mean that, I'm sure in the scope of time it will all self-resolve. But right now I just need to fixate myself on what's in front of me, this trip, the whole vlogging exercise, and I'm gonna share, things as they come, just like I did last time. So thank you for tuning in. My next video is going to be from the road, and at that point we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the whole weather phenomenon is going to be a nothing burger. Right now it is gnarly as hell. There's like 2.5 to 3 inch hail, 93 mile an hour winds in Texas. I'm like, what the hell? So I'll see you on the road.